Hello, welcome to On the Spectrum. On today's show, we're going to talk about advocacy and the effects of advocacy in the field of autism and Asperger's syndrome. My guest today specializes in autism and advocacy and is an unwavering supporter of people on the spectrum. She is the founder and director of the Center for Autism Spectrum Disorders and Applied Behavior Analysis at Antioch University Graduate School in Keene, New Hampshire. She also teaches and advises students in graduate level courses in advocacy and in autism. She is on the board of directors at Monadnock Developmental Services. My guest also is the 2009 recipient of the Doug Flutie Jr. Award. I give a very warm welcome to Shelley Viles. Shelley, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a great pleasure to have you here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Before we jump into the topic of advocacy, which is our topic today, let's talk a little bit more about you. And let's give our viewers a better insight into the work that you do with autism and Asperger's. Mm-hmm. We know that Doug Flutie and his wife Lori are very wonderful supporters of autism. They've developed a foundation called the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation. Their son, Doug Jr., has autism. The foundation is very well known. They give a lot of money to research for autism and Asperger's, and also award individuals like yourself for the tireless work that you do in the field of autism. First of all, I congratulate you on receiving that Doug Flutie Jr. Award. Tell us about the award and how you came to receive it.
Yes, well, I was nominated by one of my students in the autism program a number of years ago, Kim Stanton, a Keene resident, who I believe was working with Easter seals at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so Kim happened to stumble upon their website and that they were seeking nominations.
Wow.
And so it came as quite a surprise that she had nominated me and that I had won the award.
That's great.
So it was nice to be recognized for all of my hard work in the field of autism.
That's awesome. Wonderful. You're also the recipient this year of the Horace Mann Spirit of Service Award. Congratulations.
Oh,
that's a
thank you
wonderful
again.
award as well. Tell the viewers about this award and how you came to receive it for your work.
Well, it's part of 3 awards that are made this year by Antioch, the Horace Mann Awards. They give an award for an alumnus and for a community member and a staff or faculty person.
Perfect.
And so I was nominated by the chairperson of the Department of Applied Psychology for my work in the community, primarily doing work with parent support groups, community service organizations. I had participated in diversity work in our community through the Martin Luther King Jonathan Daniels Committee, and as you mentioned, on the board of directors for the Monadnock Developmental Services, plus many years of work with various advocacy organizations around autism, such as the Aspergers Association of New England.
That is so wonderful and needed for parents and the individuals with autism and Asperger's as well. Congratulations, that's just fabulous. And is the award ceremony happening soon?
On September 14th, it's coming up shortly.
At Antioch University? Or
I believe it's at the Keene Country Club.
Wonderful, congratulations, that's great. You have such a breadth of experience and knowledge in working with individuals on the autism spectrum, starting with your vision to develop and direct the ASD program and the ABA certificate programs at Antioch University, because I think you realize the great need for it. Not only public awareness and understanding, but also for teachers and parents who are working and loving these individuals in their lives. And you know, really do need a knowledge base about this disorder to make sure that these individuals have a meaningful and effective life. You really started something at Antioch that has taken off, and I know I'm a product of the program there, and it was a wonderful experience for me. I'm sure you're pleased with how well the certificate programs have progressed. Can you tell us about the programs a little bit and about the professors that teach there?
Sure. In 2005, I started the Autism Spectrum Disorder Certificate Program, which is a program designed to take individuals from a variety of fields and increase their toolbox about working with individuals on the autism spectrum,
Right.
primarily with the diagnoses of Asperger's syndrome,
Right.
PDD, NOS, and high-functioning autism. Typically, those individuals who are verbal and of average or above average intelligence, but have various quirks,
Right.
sensory needs, etc.
Right.
And so it is designed to help educators, parents, advocates, various specialties such as guidance counselors, occupational
Administrators,
therapy, speech language pathologists,
Right.
how to increase their toolbox about
Right.
working with individuals with those diagnoses.
That's great.
So we have had, I guess we're on our, 8th year now.
Wow.
A variety of people who've gone through the program, close to 200 graduates
Great.
who are out there in the communities, primarily working in school systems throughout the New England area. So I'm so proud of the work that our alumni are doing.
Right now as a
And
result of the program.
They're really changing the environment and
Yes.
the community for individuals with autism spectrum disorders and their families.
Right, absolutely. And the professors, I know for myself, I was absolutely enjoyed the professors that I had in the program.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the group of individuals that we've been able to recruit to both the ASD and the Applied Behavior Analysis certificate programs.
Great.
They are top-notch teachers, and many have published and speak
Absolutely.
nationally and internationally, and
Right.
so we really have a fantastic group of people.
Absolutely, great. Thank you. I know that this was all a piece of your interest in autism and Asperger's, but the real beginning of your interest in autism and Asperger's, and ultimately advocacy, which is our topic today, was the diagnosis of your own son, Paul, with Asperger's, or you will help us a little bit more, PDD, NOS. Can you share some of this experience with our viewers, starting with your son's diagnosis?
Well, actually, the story starts way before his diagnosis, because our story is much like many families, that we went through a series of misdiagnoses.
Oh.
So I knew when Paul was maybe 6 months old that there was something different about him.
Right.
But he was our first child. He was a boy. People said to me, oh, boys are a little slower. And, you know, I didn't have any yardstick for comparison.
Exactly.
So would mention things to his pediatrician, but he was making developmental milestones, but sort of squeaking by.
Yeah.
And that went on for about 2.5 years. And at age 2.5, I really put my foot down and said, something's not
up.
right.
Right.
And at that point, he was starting to not make the developmental milestones around speech and language. So that's what he was first diagnosed with, and we started to get some early intervention services. So at about 2 years, 9 months, we started to have a speech language pathologist come to the house to work with him on things such as articulation and so on. And as time went on, we realized there were a variety of other things. So he also was diagnosed with ADHD, was one of these kids who was all over the place. His nickname was Ricochet.
My
So
gosh.
always climbing
Oh my
fences and running
gosh.
around and so on. So
Right.
Diagnosed with that, with fine motor and gross motor delays, a whole variety of other things.
Right.
And so we went through a series of misdiagnoses for years,
Right.
and it wasn't until middle school that we finally received an
Interesting.
accurate diagnosis.
Interesting. Wow. It sounds like you were an advocate for your son And that is a piece of what we're going to talk about here today and how it applies to individuals on the spectrum. Help us understand what is advocacy, the parts of advocacy as it applies to, from the perspective of parent and then the individual on the autism spectrum. Can you break it down for our viewers?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Well, as I think about advocacy from a parent perspective, I really think it starts with getting an accurate and a good diagnosis. Because a good diagnosis should have a variety of professionals looking at your child and assessing their strengths and their challenges.
Right.
So a good diagnosis would give you information on based on their challenges and their strengths, how to put together a program to address those.
Right. Would you do that as early as possible?
As early as
intervention?
possible.
Okay.
The research shows that early intervention is the way to go, and that with appropriate early intervention, children can start kindergarten indistinguishable from their peers.
That's
They won't
great.
be cured. They will always have an autism spectrum disorder.
Right.
But they will have made such significant gains that
Right.
they are indistinguishable.
So they're on the right path.
They are
right
on
away.
the right path, yes. So when in doubt, ask, get a good evaluation, because none of the treatments will hurt your child.
Right.
And it's better to be safe and get that early.
Exactly.
Exactly. So,
Wonderful.
so getting a good evaluation is a first step. And then I say this is a lifelong piece, autism spectrum disorder. So get a team of people together, of professionals who can help and advise your family
Yes.
and provide treatment for your child throughout their life.
That you can trust and rely on, go to for questions.
Exactly.
And get some good information.
Right.
That's great.
So the kind of people you'd be looking at would be a pediatrician, their primary care physician, someone like a speech language pathologist to look at sort of communication and speech delays, an occupational therapist, because often sensory issues are part of the autism diagnosis. Educators, behaviorists, advocates, other people that you can call
They're
on.
out there.
They are out there.
Yes, that's great.
Often these people, the really good ones, will have a long wait list, but I think it is important to get your name on that wait list and get
start
a
early.
strong evaluation.
That's great advice, Shelley.
Yeah. So, and then as your child will go along, they'll either start early intervention work if they're under age 3, or they'll move into the special ed system for age 3 and on. And so developing a good relationship with the school system and those providers is key.
Right.
So you have your team of people that will be advising you and working with your child.
That's great.
But I'm a firm believer in that you'll get more results with honey than vinegar, that if you can develop a great relationship with the school system, it will pay off in the long run.
That's great advice too. Absolutely.
So some of the things you can do is be friendly, bring snacks, bring a plate of brownies to the IEP meeting. And I've heard advice of bring a really big plate, so of course there'll be leftovers and it'll go to the teacher's lounge, and then people say, oh, who brought these in? And
That's good.
That's Johnny's family.
Yeah, that's
so,
good. Because we're all in this together. We're a team. The schools, the parents, the child, we're a team, and we need to work as a team. And we're finding out information and sharing information. There's no one that knows everything, so it's a good sharing, collaborate time to work, and always keep that child as the focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things I really value is understanding the perspectives of others. So in the advocacy class I teach, I encourage students to go and visit a parent support group. So those who are professionals will visit there and get a sense of sort of the issues that are happening in families, the stress level, how challenging it can be. And those who are family members to go and interview a special ed teacher
Right.
or someone working in the
Right.
field so that they really get a sense of what their day-to-day life
Yeah.
is like.
That was a great assignment. Love that assignment. You do get a different perspective when you hear it, when you're interviewing a parent or an educator or someone in the field. It's
Yeah.
other than what you're doing.
Exactly.
Very good.
Because I think if you can appreciate as a parent that maybe you're asking the teacher to journal or communicate with you or do other things, and he or she may be having a very challenging schedule.
Right.
I know my husband is a middle school teacher, and he doesn't have a lunch break. He teaches, he runs a study circle. It's sort of a disciplinary place for students to go when they're behind on their homework during lunch. So he really doesn't
Wow.
have that time. So, you know, he might have a 7-minute break during the day.
Right.
And so trying to add a lot of extra things onto it other
Right.
than his regular teaching load is quite challenging.
Right.
So if you
Exactly.
can have an appreciation for
that.
others' perspectives and walk in their shoes, I
Right.
think it goes a long way.
That's great. Really good information. You know, so the IEP process is important, being a part of the IEP team, understanding the regulations, the latest research-based information is also important, I think, for parents, right, and part of their advocacy.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing that I would encourage parents to do is to look for good research.
Yes.
So
It's out there.
Right. Look for things in peer-reviewed journals, meaning that other peers have assessed the work.
Yes.
That
Yes.
that studies have been duplicated, et cetera,
Right.
versus finding the latest thing that's on somebody's blog and
Exactly.
circulating on the internet.
Right.
Where is that a parent's opinion, or does the research really support that?
And I know Antioch University is a great resource for that. I mean, they could go onto the Antioch website, and we have that. We will share that with our viewers in a few minutes, and get information, resources, and research-based information. That's excellent. So, did you have something else about the parent as an advocate?
Well, I think it's a natural progression that when your child is younger, you're going to be
Be the
doing the
advocate. Right.
advocating for them.
Right.
But then as you learn and develop skills, I think it is important to share what you have learned with your child.
Exactly.
So I would start with sharing their diagnosis with them, be using the words, you know, Asperger's syndrome, autism, et cetera, around them. So there's no stigma associated with it,
Right.
and they understand that.
Right.
Have them understand their own strengths and challenges.
Right.
So it can be, you know, something like I'm easily distracted, and therefore if I sit up front, I won't be distracted by the,
Exactly.
you know, other children in the classroom,
Right.
that sort of thing.
So going from parent being the advocate, which you're always the